Good morning, class. Let's check the attendance first. How are you today? It is good to know that you feel great. So, are you ready for our lesson for today? Let's begin. Who among you knows what are the parts of speech? Yes, Miss Sibayan? Mr. Carona? Mr. Abalorio? Very good. I am glad that you already know your speech. Anybody who knows phrases? None so far? Okay, let me introduce to you our topic. Our topic for today is adverbial phrase. What is an adverbial phrase? Kindly read Mr. Nasas. Adverbial phrase. Adverbial phrase is a term for two or more words which plays the role of an adverb. Thank you. And from its root word, what is an adverb? Miss Manuel. An adverb is a word that modifies a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. Very good. Let's move on to the topic. Here are some examples of an adverbial phrase and a normal adverb. First example, I will sit quietly. The normal adverb there is quietly. Quietly is modifying the verb sit. Next, I will sit in silence. The adverbial phrase is in silence, which is modifying the verb sit. If you have noticed, the sentence which contains an adverbial phrase is much better to use and makes the statement longer. Sometimes an adverb alone cannot vividly describe or modify what the sentence would like to say. That is why we are using adverbial phrase. Next, there is also what we call adverbial clause. You can distinguish the adverbial clause when a multi-word adverb contains a subject and a verb. For example, I will sit like monk meditates. The adverbial clause in there is like monk meditates, which is modifying how I will sit. In these examples, all the adverbs tells us how the person will sit. The only difference in them, in the adverbial clause and adverbial phrase, is that the adverbial clause has a subject, so do not be confused. That's all for the lesson. Do you still have questions or any clarifications? If there is none, let's move on to the activity. Seeing the given sentences, identify the adverbial phrase. Number 1. Kindly read Mr. Nasas. I will do it in a minute. The answer is in a minute. Next, Mr. Abalorio. Kindly read. Number 2, opera is when a guy gets stabbed in the back and instead of bleeding, he sings. The adverbial phrase is in there is in the back. Very good. Number 3, kindly read Miss Sarsada. After the game, the king and pawn go into the same box. The answer is after the game. Very good. Now class, let's have a short recap. What is an adverbial phrase again? Very good. And what is the difference between adverbial phrase and adverbial clause? Very good. An adverbial phrase doesn't have a subject, while the adverbial clause has a subject together with the verb. Very good. Let's do the individual activity for 5 minutes. Direction. Underline the adverbial phrase in the sentence. Next, assignment. Make an additional research about the adverbial phrase of manner, time, and place. And do an advanced reading about prepositional phrase and adjective phrase. And review your notes about the topic for today, because we will have a short quiz next meeting before we proceed to our next topic. That's all. Let's call it a day. Class dismissed.